In 2015, more precisely in November 28th, at 11:30 p.m. and 26 seconds, 7,384,137,425 was the estimate population of the world, estimated by a website called worldometers.info. Now this estimation is basically and obviously calculated by statistical and probability calculations, yet however at some point it does reflect the real world population and give an accurate image or figure of the world population. So if you're ever bored or want to know how we're spreading and growing, I'd advise you to visit this website. So 7 billion, wow, that's a huge number, right? I mean, to think about it, it's huge. I mean, you can't even imagine it. So to put it more simple, if all human beings alive at this very moment would stand next to each other, shoulder by shoulder, we would create a very large chain that can circumnavigate the Earth's circumference on the equatorial level 82 times. Amazing, right? Here's another fun fact. If all human beings somehow stand on top of each other, like, I feel sorry for the first one who's going to be like, all the people are going to stand on top of it. So if all the peoples would stand on top of each other, we could go from Earth to the moon and back to Earth and then back to the moon 12 times. That's amazing, right? It's just amazing just to think, how huge are we? I mean, this idea kept me thinking, and it haunted my dreams for quite some time. Like, am I just a link in a very long chain that circumnavigates the Earth 83 times? It kind of made me feel unimportant. But at some point, I did change of perspective. I tried to think at things differently and consider zooming out on history to see things differently. And when you zoom out on history, you realize that in history there are certain tipping points that are marked by specific people that thought differently and did different things. These people revolutionized every aspect of our lives. And to think that we, at some point, we went from just simply randomly roaming the Earth, seeking food and survival, to exploring outer space, different planets, using state-of-the-art technology. Something impeccable, something amazing happened between those two moments. People thought differently. People had visions. They decided to act differently, and they explored the creativity and the uniqueness of themselves. However, a lot of people go through life without neglecting and not giving quite a lot of attention to the uniqueness and to the uniqueness of their very being. And it's very unfortunate, because if you think that we're all similar, that's a very superficial way of seeing things. We are unique. Each one of us is unique. In fact, you are one of a kind, because if you take a look at that very long chain, you'll notice on the molecular level that each link is quite different from the other. You are special. Never has there been a human being identical to you, and never will it ever be. I can tell you this, you are the only version of you that ever existed on this planet. Now, I don't know if there's a replicate or another version of you in some other planet or in some other dimension, but I can tell you this, in this planet, you're one of a kind. And the thing is, a lot of people don't spend their God-given time not really giving so much attention to their true identity. They don't get to discover who they are. Like, they live imitating other people and they're just being acted upon by society. For instance, like an example that speaks for itself is the educational system. The educational system that does not really, that focuses on conformity rather than diversity, seeking to create standard generations or robots. And those people end up being like identical, similar to one another. However, I think one opportunity that we have to discover ourselves is to do some soul searching. Soul searching, like think who you truly are. And one of the things that I believe, like one of the keys that can make you discover who you truly are is to knowing your, like the intact version of you, the version that has not been affected by external factors like society, education, and so on. And to do that, you have to go back to basics, go back to raw, go back to childhood. If you can, like your person as a child, or you as a child, is the same version of you that is intact, that was not modified or interfered upon by external factors. And try to communicate with that child, make him your best friend. This is me as a kid. Oh, cute, right? Well, was. So this is me 17 years ago, and I believe I am still the very same person as you see up there. The same smile is what kept me and got me through a lot of problems in life. And that very same optimism is what helped me like face a lot of failures that I have seen in life. I tried so many different things and I failed, and I always wake up and rise up again, because that child is always alive in me and always urging me to try again and never give up. They used to call me Spring, because I never settled down in one place. I'm always moving to a place to another, and I'm just never satisfied with where I am. And the same thing happens now. I'm never satisfied with the status quo. I'm always trying to change things. I'm always trying to look for new opportunities, meet new people. I'm never still. And that child is still alive in me in so many ways. I'm never afraid of like being who I am. I still walk on the edge of the sidewalk like this on the street, and I'm not afraid of people looking at me or judging me. I don't really care. I'm just being myself. So I recently learned something new about myself as a kid. I went with a high school social club that I created back in high school, and we went to visit, well, it's an orphanage, and in this association, I found a woman that works there, and that used to be my childhood kindergarten teacher. And I did recognize her because I know her from pictures and so on, and I doubted that she'd recognize me or remember me. But much to my surprise, she did. She even remembered my name. And when I asked, how did she remember me, she said when I was a kid, she gave me an assignment. She asked me to draw something. And I did, and when I drew something like this. And when she asked me what that is, I said it's a TV set. But, given the rectangular shape, it's a TV set. But she didn't understand what the dots were for. And I said, yeah, it's a TV. All of the team that works with me shares the same passion as I do. So I have a couple of tips that I want to share with you. And these tips are like standards that I always try to look up to and I always try to live up to in my life. Don't be constant, be variable. Always be changing. Never remain the same for your entire life. Change ideas, change places, change, you never remain still. Always be looking for opportunities, because, you know, when when you change your state of mind, there's nothing really more powerful than a different or changed state of mind. And most of us are engineering students here, and you know what the derivative of a constant is, right? It's zero. If you're always going to be constant, nothing good is going to come out of you. Nothing good is going to derive from you. In fact, nothing at all. So be variable, be changing, never settle down on one thing. Don't be afraid to fail. I failed so many times in life, yet that childhood spirit, that optimism kept me alive, kept me ambitious, always trying to look for new things, always trying to, falling and then getting up on my feet again. However, if you plan for something in life, you have to work hard for it. Because if you have a certain project in mind, and that you don't do anything in order to achieve it, do you know how chances do you know what are the odds and what chances do you have of achieving it? It's zero. You didn't try. However, the smallest steps, like the tiniest initiative that you take towards achieving your project or your dream, hires your chances to 50%, either you make it or not. So you have to take risks in life. Don't be afraid. And as you take risks, you have to assume responsibility for these risks. A lot of people start like saying, well, you might fail. Well, I might fail, that's true, but it is a risk I've taken. It's a responsibility that I assume. And at least I've done something. It's better than just standing there and just wish for something to happen. Secondly, surround yourself with good people, with people better than you. So this is an old picture of me with my friends Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. Well, it was back at the time, good people. So yeah, surround yourself with people better than you because you're going to learn new experiences from them every day. You're going to learn from their everything, their knowledge, their experience in life. They absolutely have something new to add to you. And you have to seize the opportunity and learn that from them. Don't follow people. Be a leader. Take your own initiatives. Don't be a copycat of somebody else. And I actually call this the Louage effect. Yes, this Louage. Now, I study in Sousse and I live in Monastir. Therefore, I commute there back and forth to Sousse every day. And I do that by Louage. And if you ride Louages quite often, you'll realize that there is a specific interval of time during the entire ride in which people suddenly decide to pay together. And this collective, unjustified collective decision is usually triggered by someone who for a reason or another decided to pay, and then just everyone follows through. He paid, we have to pay too. It's like he reminded them of an ultimate obligation that you have to pay the driver. And even if they didn't pay at that time, the driver wasn't going to kick them out or something, but they just still do it. So everything is possible. This is a picture that I took last year when I was an attendee at TEDxENIMONASTIR. I posted this. I said, why not a speaker one day, inshallah? And I am a speaker today. And you guys can do it. It's not very hard. And before I end, I want to share with you one of my favorite quotes. It was used for Apple and the Think Different commercial. You guys probably know it. Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them, but the only thing you can do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. And when some might see them as the crazy ones, we see genius, because the people who are crazy enough to think they could change the world are the ones who do. Thank you.